Second day of inequalities is going to deal with compound inequalities. If you have not watched the video for Chapter 3, Day 1, please go back and watch it now. It should be in your Google Classroom or somewhere for you to find. The assumption for today is that you actually understand how inequality signs work. That means we know that the sign changes whenever we flip. So we had where we flip signs, and we had when we flip sides. It also assumes that you had some experience with inequalities and that you kind of know at least a general idea of how they work. Compound inequalities are inequalities that contain more than one problem per question. These problems will have two different looks. The first type is connected. One type of compound inequality is connected. It means the two following parts, 7 is less than or equal to x plus 3, and this will be connected now to join the x plus 3 portion, and you simply put the 7 here and the 17 over there. Alright, so again, the connected version has a middle part that's linked in the middle, and then it has a left side and a right side that are over there for you to work with. Now, if you don't like the connected version, what you could do is turn this back into that by simply separating it to be 7 is less than or equal to x plus 3, and then x plus 3 is less than 17. But what I'm going to show you is that you really don't typically have to do that. I think there might be some challenge questions on occasion, but in my math experience I haven't seen many to where you have to go that far. But again, notice that the x plus 3 is a connecting point. The solving of these types of problems are simple enough. All we have to do is adjust our understanding of the algebra rule. And what our usual algebra rule was, what is done to one side must be done to both sides. Now what we're going to say is what is done to one side must be done to all sides, because now we actually have three parts. We have a left side, we have a middle, and we have a right side. The solving is still the same. Focusing on getting x alone, the first number we would move if this wasn't here is the 1. And so you know that we would subtract 1. But again, the trick here is you now have to subtract 1 3 times. So you subtract 1 from the middle, from the right, and from the left. Negative 4 minus 1, if you don't know what that is, you need to make sure you know how to use your calculator to get it, but that becomes negative 5. Copy the symbol. 5x comes down. Copy the symbol. 21 minus 1 is 20. And again, getting x alone, the next thing we would do is divide by 5. The only difference is now you divide by 5 3 times. So you get negative 1 less than x less than or equal to 4. That is your answer. Alright, so again, once x is alone, that is your answer. What this means is that x is between negative 1 and 4. It does not include negative 1 because it's less than. It does include 4 because it's got a little equal to symbol down there. Looking at another example, you've got here, again, 75 less than x plus 35 over 3 less than 88. This question here again is one where our objective is to get x alone, so ignore everything else and think, what number do you usually move first in here? And it's usually the 3. Then think, how do I usually get rid of that 3? Well, we usually multiply everything by 3. The only difference is now we multiply 3 parts by 3. 75 times 3, I should know what that is 225. X plus 35 comes down because our 3's cancel out in the middle, and then 88 times 3 is 264. And of course, as I said last time, our objective is still to get x alone, so what we're going to do is subtract 35. We just have to subtract 35 3 times. So 225 minus 35 is 190. And 264 minus 35 is 229. And again, that is your answer. That's all you have to do. Alright? So, looking at that, and just one more, just to make sure we've got it, but like I said, for the most part, it's just a matter of making sure that you know what's going on. This is a tricky one, and if you remember the different types, whenever we've got a negative variable, that causes an issue, but just pay attention to what's going on, because again, it's really not that hard to do. It's just a couple things you got to keep a lookout for. So in this one here, you have our first objective is to get rid of the 5, so we're going to subtract 5 from all 3 sides. 16 minus 5 gives me 11. negative x over 2 comes down with 15. This is a negative sign, and again, what I usually do is I change first, so we're going to change everything. The thing though is you're going to change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. This becomes negative 11, the sign changes. This becomes x over 2, the sign flips, that becomes negative 15. Then what we do is get rid of the 2 the way we know how to, which is to multiply everything by 2, ending up with negative 2 greater than x greater than negative 30. Now here's the last thing. You will never really want to end this with the signs facing that way. It always wants to go from smallest to largest, and negative 30 is smaller than negative 2. And so what we have to do now is take this and turn the whole thing over. So what we're going to do is send our negative 30 over here. We're going to flip this sign. We're going to put our x here. We're going to flip the sign again here, and then we're going to send our negative 2 over here. So that is honestly the toughest type of problem you're going to see. Although I don't think that that's really tested as much these days, but that's the toughest problem you might see on like an ACT or a test that wants to really know what you know about inequalities. The second type of problem you'll see is separated, but the word it's separated, but the word or, sometimes and, is used to connect the two parts of the problem. So it's also simple to work with. Again, all it is just solve each part, then bring the word down. So again, as long as you understand, the reason I said you need to watch day 1 is because if you don't have day 1 experience, then you're not going to be able to do a lot of this stuff. Because in all honesty, here's your example: 5x is greater than negative 15, or x minus 7 is less than 20, or negative 20. All we're going to do here is split this and work out the left side first. Here we know to divide by 5 on both sides, getting x is greater than negative 3. Here, now that that one's done, we go over here. We know we're supposed to add 7, getting x is less than negative 13. So our answer is x is greater than negative 3, or, because just bring that part down, x is less than negative 13. And again, that's all. You work out each part, and that is all it takes. Okay? Two x plus 3 is greater than 15, or 14 is greater than 5x plus 4. Again, separating this down with the word or, solve as usual. Subtracting 3 from both sides, you get 2x is greater than 12. You then divide by 2, getting x is greater than 6. That's one answer. Now what we do is we come over here and again solve as usual. Subtract 4, getting 10 is greater than 5x. Divide by 5, getting 2 is greater than x. And remember, this is on the wrong side. And so you get x is less than, because remember that has to switch 2. And all you have to do is bring that down. So our answer is x is greater than 6, or x is less than 2. Alright? And then one more just for the sake of practice. 5 minus 2x is less than negative 7, or 20 is less than negative x over 10. So again, solving this, we would subtract 5 from both sides, bring down negative 2x and negative 12. This here, remember we switched, 2x is greater than 12. Dividing by 2 on both sides, you get x is greater than 6. Here, the first thing I notice is that my fraction is negative, so I'm going to turn this to be a negative 20, flip the sign, and put in x over 10. Then multiply by 10, which means that we get negative 200 is greater than x, which again, this is on the wrong side, so we're going to do x is less than negative 200. And again, once you do that, bring down your middle word. The answer is x is greater than 6, or x is less than negative 200. And that is all. Alright. Before moving on to your lesson credit, which actually there is no lesson credit here, just notice that our work from yesterday still applies. There's nothing really different about working with these problems outside of just taking your time and ensuring that you think first before you act. As much as a lot of us like to say you never use math, that is a lesson that you eventually have to learn in your life in general. That is why I'm here, to pretty much teach you that lesson, to think before you act, and also just to take your time whenever problems pop up. So now you're going to work on Chapter 3, Day 2 quiz, and then you're going to move on to Chapter 3, Day 2 homework. So remember that you can work together on those two things, but you cannot move to the homework until you have 100% on the quiz grade. Another bad thing for you is if you did not do Chapter 3 Day 1 quiz, then you actually can't even do these two. So if they lock you out, you might have to go all the way back to Chapter 3 Day 1 quiz and finish those before you can go to anything else. So again, good luck on that, but just make sure you're working to finish it. Actually, for my 135s, if you're listening to this, actually no, never mind, I'm not there. I am there. Good luck.